hoc committee meeting for Tuesday, May 20th, and we'll start with a roll call vote. Member Busio?
Present.
Member Cole?
Here.
Member Hance?
Here.
Member Manglecock?
Here.
Member Twishel is absent, and Chair Renner is absent. So we do have a quorum, but in the absence of Chair Renner, a Chair Pro Tem will need to be established. Staff has talked to Member Cole about this. We will need a motion.
A motion to have Member Cole be our chair tonight.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right. So Member Cole, if you want to take it from here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great.
I think the first agenda item is the March minutes consideration. Do we have any edits to the March minutes? No? So we need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of approving March minutes from March 18th meeting?
Aye.
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 Okay,
Great.
motion passes.
Next on the agenda, we have public comment. Anyone who has come to the meeting, thank you very much for coming to the meeting this evening. If anyone has something they would like to discuss or address to the committee, we have 15 minutes time for any and all comments of non-agenda items. So if the items are on the agenda, we will get to those momentarily. Any public comments, concerns? Take that as a no.
We do have two people online. If you're looking to speak at this time, please raise your hand on the Zoom. Okay, and it doesn't look like we have anyone looking to speak online.
Great. So moving on to general business, we have a number of animal license applications. First is a B application for 415 Lincoln Avenue. Jonathan Love.
Yeah, if you want to step up and just give a general overview of your application. Everyone did receive your application materials.
Yeah, so I applied to keep bees in my backyard at 415 Lincoln Avenue here in Lake Bluff. A little about me, I relocated here about a year ago with my wife from North Carolina. There I kept bees for about 3 years, where I had the chance to learn from people I would consider to be pretty veteran beekeepers. Kept 2 hives there and successfully overwintered them for 2 of the 3 years. It's sometimes a coin toss with bees. Harvested about 40 pounds of honey from those hives, which I was don't know if I would have the same success here. I was in a very wooded area, but so have plenty of experience doing that, and I'm very eager to reassume the practice here in Lake Bluff. I noted this in my application, but do want to call out a couple things I would do to make sure it's not a nuisance to any neighbors. One would be just frequent inspections, making sure the bees have enough resources. If they have resources, they're less testy, less defensive. Making sure they have enough space to grow. If they have enough space to grow, then they won't swarm, or that lowers their propensity to swarm. And then if I do see signs of swarming, taking swift mitigative actions to make sure that they don't swarm, because that can be a nuisance for neighbors. I'm happy to answer any questions or explain anything in my application further.
I think we've all reviewed the application. Does anyone on the committee have any questions?
Mr. Love, well, first of all, welcome to Lake Bluff. Glad
Thank
you're
you.
Here. Have you talked with your neighbors about this, and is their reaction to this?
Yes. So what I did in preparation for this meeting a number of weeks ago, I sent out like a kind of one pager of what I plan to do with keeping bees. Left my contact information, included a lot of the same information I put in my application as well, in terms of how I'll ensure the bees are not a nuisance. I talked to the majority of my neighbors in person as well. They either texted me, called me, or I just talked to them over the fence. No concerns. I was mostly met with positive and excited feedback.
And just so everyone is aware, the village is required to send notice letters to every one of the adjoining property owners, and we didn't receive any comments back on that as well.
Do we do site inspections with bees too? Yeah,
Yeah, yep,
no issues there.
no issues there.
Great.
Yep.
So next steps is a vote to approve.
Yeah, and it would be a voice vote.
All in favor of approving? Any other questions before we move to a vote?
No, I don't.
There will be a motion that would be needed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So can I make a motion to go to a vote to approve the bee application? Second?
Second?
Okay. Member Bucio,
Approve?
Member Cole,
Yes.
Member Hans,
Yes.
and Member Mangelkock.
Yes.
All right.
There you
So that one is approved, and we'll be in touch with next steps.
Okay, thank you all for your time.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next, we have a application for chickens at 120 West Center Avenue. Becky Dragisevich? Dragovich? There's a C in there.
Or Marsh, or whatever you want to call me. There are a few houses in our neighborhood that already have chickens. We love to visit with the other chickens. I have a 6-year-old that's looking forward to helping raise the chickens. We are on a 1/4 acre, so we have plenty of land for them. We obviously have done a ton of TikTok research on how to take care of them and how best to feed them. We have a lot of kids in our neighborhood that we are all friends with, and all the other kids in the neighborhood are just as excited as my 6-year-old to help care for and raise these chickens.
Awesome.
That's great.
Well, I know that there are a number of chickens in Lake Bluff, so there will be plenty of, if you're looking for advice from other people or help
Yes.
from other people, I think we can identify those contacts for you.
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions?
How soon do you think you'll get the chickens?
Well, soon, hopefully. We'll see. They don't start laying for about 6 months. And then you're getting into winter, so we won't get a whole lot of eggs then. So it basically, for the first 6 months, basically till next spring, it's going to be a whole lot of just caring and loving on the chickens. So,
Having reviewed the application, any other issues?
No, looks good.
Motion for a vote? Or approval?
One thing that I realized we didn't do at the last one is open the floor to the public if they have any questions. So if anyone has
Does
any.
anyone have
on
any
either-
questions about the chicken application for 120 West Center?
What kind will you get?
we're thinking the Buff and Lavender Orpington. They, on average, lay about 200 eggs apiece a year. And they're the most friendly, and they are very good cold hardy birds.
And have you raised chickens before?
Nope. Nope. But I, you know, 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 kids. Why not? Why not?
Great.
Yeah. Watch out for those foxes.
We plan to have them in a really big enclosed chicken run. Just because I don't think my mama heart could handle
Yeah, right.
finding them in the morning.
Yeah,
So, motion for a vote to approve?
Okay, so moved.
Second?
All right. Member Cole,
Aye.
Member Hans.
Yes, aye.
Member Mangelkock.
Aye.
And Member Bucio.
Aye.
All right. So that motion passes as well, and
Thank
we'll
you.
There you
be
go.
in touch.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, general business. We have community wildlife habitat designation discussion with our good friend.
Checking to make sure I knew. I've read the agenda several times. And when I called it, these will be questions. Sure. So I'm Sue Raymore, live in 352 Briar Lane, Lake Bluff.
I'm Ann Verdevac, and I live across the street at 335 Briar Lane, Lake Bluff.
And we're here as a repeat. We were here back in April, and we had, when we left, we were talking about hoping to get a proclamation from the village as we start our process, or we're well into it now, but for our community wildlife habitat, a National Wildlife Federation program where we encourage people to go native, use sustainable gardening and land practices to increase and support our habitat and our ecosystems. So basically, I'll repeat again, no pesticides, minimize herbicides, grow native plants, provide food for animals, shelter for animals, and places to nest.
And water.
And water. So that is what we're all about. And we had, Brian had asked, Commissioner Renner had asked to find out what our progress was. So we had sent an update shortly after the meeting in April, and we sent another update, which I believe you all have. Pardon?
It was March.
Oh, I'm sorry, March, and then April. Yeah, now we're in May. And we've actually had an update since then, so we continue to progress. As a reminder for the program, we need 150 points of action, and that is in outreach, registration, administration, and education. We have completed the registration. We are 5 points away from the administration. They have it, they're just waiting for us to get further in the process. They think we gave it to them too early. But, and that's just our communication. We do within our leadership team, we do a weekly update of all the actions that we've done and where we are. And we're doing Google. We have a Google Drive, so we have all of our data there. We're moving forward. And education, we're ready to go. We're waiting for the farmer's market. You guys heard that we're allowed to be at the farmer's market, so we're planning on, I think, pretty much every other week. We're sharing the table with the
Master Gardeners.
Master Gardeners. So we have a lot of information, a lot of handouts. We have some priority we can talk about if you have questions. And we do think...
So one of the key things there is certifying homes. That's going to be our biggest work, is getting about maybe 80 more homes, maybe less, in Lake Bluff that are certified by the National Wildlife Federation. All of the other points, they're easy.
They're done.
We'll, when we get hopefully the city's support or the village's support, we pretty much have everything else done. It's just, and that's why the farmer's market is so key, and thank you, because we do need to reach people. And the other is through the newsletter. Hopefully, once the village supports us, we can put it in the newsletter too.
Yeah, our great big idea is to have a weekly corner in the newsletter with things that are relevant to the Sustainability Committee, that supports the Sustainability Committee, but it also helps educate the public. So that could be points for us, but we don't really need them, but we think it's a good idea to have that continuity. The other thing that we're looking for is when we get a proclamation, I'm being hopeful, to be able to use that in our marketing. We're not doing a lot of marketing, but we do have a brochure that we just got approved from National Wildlife Federation that tells the community who we are, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. And to have little things like, we have a support now, I think you got the letter from Clara today that Lake Bluff Open Lands has sent a letter of support. We collaborated with Lake Bluff Open Lands for the Chicago River Day, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. We had over 50 people there. Our main project was having kids, so we had a lot of kids' activities. We had a table set up for the National Wildlife Federation, and Senator Morrison was there and came and spoke with us, and then we got to speak with her. And our topic there was the neonics that we've talked about, and I'm going to say a little bit about that. We have her support, so we're waiting for a letter of support from her. So we're really trying to get some outreach.
She offered to do a proclamation.
Yes.
We have to send it to her. We were kind of waiting to see how this meeting went, and then we're going to send it to her. And she also suggested that we do our U.S. Senator also.
Yep.
Brett Schneider.
So
Or Representative Brett Schneider.
We're moving ahead. We're not sitting still. We're not waiting for things to happen. And we're working on a logo. McKamey and I were talking last night at the Park District, and we are calling ourselves Growing Native Habitat Lake Bluff. And remember, Lake Bluff, it includes the whole school District 65, because that's where we have the kids. And we think kids are so important, so I love to hear about the chickens and the bees and the kids. So what else? I think that was about it. I did want to mention the neonics. We've talked about this in a couple different groups in town. Neonicotinoids have become rampant in the last couple of years, and talk about bees dying. There was a study in November that was published showing that there was a direct correlation to the use of the neonics and the bee decline. We know there's several reasons for the bee decline, but what we found out recently, because we have spent many, many hours doing research, talking to growers and garden centers, it is very difficult to find horticulture plants that don't have neonics. And I'm talking about the annuals you put in your yard. I'm talking about the perennials you buy that are not native. Natives are clean, but if you would want to pop color somewhere, chances are you're planting plants that are going to kill any pollinator that accesses it for nectar, pollen, or food. So
One seed will kill 250,000 bees and a songbird. One neonic seed.
And it's hard, it's insidious because the centers will tell you they don't use neonics because they're buying treated seed. So very, very difficult to.
The problem is because it's a systemic and it's a seed coating, the rules don't apply to having to label it a pesticide like others. So that's why there's no labels that you'll see that say it's a neonics plant or not. We don't have the rules yet. Some states are starting that, and some states have banned it, like 2 or 3. But that's why it is such a problem. So you don't want to have your bee colony and plant annuals, unfortunately. Because it's been shown that that bee colony collapse. It began when neonics began.
And neonics have been around for a long time in agriculture, but it's really pretty recent that it's shown up in horticulture plants. So that's going to be one of our topics of education at the farmers market. Another one that we're going to be focusing on is not to use mosquito spray, because contrary to what you're being told, it does kill the pollinators, bees, and it's 90% ineffective. I mean, I was president of the mosquito abatement for a couple of years before we shut it down, and the village had long gone to the bacteria, so the mosquito dunks, and they're very effective. So we're going to be focusing on that education at the farmers market also.
And dark sky, something familiar to you.
But it's also an opportunity for, and I talked a little bit to Sophie about this, to find out how we can help the sustainability committee. Are there topics that you would like us to focus on? Obviously, we're going to be trying to get the houses certified, but we really want to we don't just want the points, we want the practice. Right. So we're here to help in any way we can. We start June 6th, and we've got some creative ideas about how we'll get houses certified, but.
And we also have a walk planned, another native walk, native garden walk.
July 5th.
Just a little one.
Yeah. Habitat walk.
Yes.
Any questions?
You know, I do have a question. How can you describe the home certification process to a homeowner who might be interested?
So if you look at a house and you're like, do you have big trees? They say yes. Okay, so you already have, and then do you have bushes? Yes, so you already have places for them to nest and to hide. Then do you have a bird feeder out? Yes, that works for that. Do you have a fountain out? Or do you have like fruit-bearing plants in your yard? That would be the other thing. So either bird seed or fruit-bearing plants. And if that's yes, then water, even just a bird bath. Or near, like those that are near the ravine count.
Yep.
Right next to the ravine count. But then it's also the sustainability, and that's where, try to minimize the pesticides and that sort of thing. So National Wildlife Federation doesn't say native quite as much as perhaps we do, but that will be some of our conversation. But, you know, it's getting people to think about how they're using their yard as a home for other living creatures too. And, you
Yes.
know, and how to maximize that.
So let me, I think I understand, but maybe for everybody here, or anybody that is watching this. So let's say I know my land and I know I have all of those things. Do I believe I go online, and then it's just a matter of filling out, a questionnaire? And if so, how do you know that I've done that? So you can put me as a checkoff on the list.
So, yes, first of all, it is the honor system. There is a little questionnaire you go through to make sure that the way you answer it meets their specifications. And then we have our own community wildlife habitat website annex on the National Wildlife Federation. So all of us who are registered, so we've got a team of 6 people. And we are all certified, we all have our home certified, of course, but we are members, and we can all get into this website for the resources, but they keep a running tally of all the houses that are in like, we had to give them the district to say this is District 65, and it's a political map. That's why it was so specific. And then they will match the location of the home to our district, and they will put it on a database for us to access.
Got it.
So,
Good.
yeah,
That's
so we
what I
do
was-
get it, and it only takes a couple days. So we've been pretty consistent, getting a couple every week, so.
That's so easy. That's really so easy.
It is, there is a $25 cost. That is, you know, one of the things, and so we have been trying to seek some funds just to help out those that need that. But we also are able to certify, you know, the Park District has a number of lands, and doesn't the village have some
Yeah,
property?
the
So-
Skokie. I mean, the
so the
Skokie's huge.
Yeah,
So,
And Washington Park.
yes.
in Washington Park, because it has a bird bath.
So I'll take a look at that. I'll follow up on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right now we're waiting for funds. The Rotary, we had submitted a grant to the Rotary, and they said they will get back to us shortly after Memorial Day. So we're hopeful. We have a couple others in our sites. As soon as they open, we will be posting. We've also done a little bit of selling when we did the tree sale last year. We did the legacy trees where we had the acorns from Lake Bluff, and we had them grown at Majestic Oaks and then sold them at a nominal fee. We had a little bit left over. Any excess money we had, we gave as a donation to Lake Bluff Open Lands, because they were the wholesaler that let us use their nonprofit designation. We are not a nonprofit, and so we gave them a donation of $1,400 from those trees, and it was really only like $5 more per tree. I mean, people were getting cheap trees, very inexpensive. And then we do,
We're going to do that again this summer.
we're doing white oaks this year. So they take a year longer to grow. So we have 3-year-old white oaks that are getting ready, and we have first dibs on the Lake Bluff ones. So we'll be selling that. So any little leftover, we never know what we mark it up a little bit, mainly to cover shipping.
Yeah.
And, you know, is there tax? Because they had a price change last year, so we make the price a little bit higher. But Lobola does the benefit, and then we have little bits left over. So that's how we are surviving. Questions?
Well, I want to thank you for, everything that you guys are doing right now with growing native habitat Lake Bluff, and by extension, Lake Bluff Open Lands is really what this committee is trying to do, which is protect and grow native spaces and sustainable practices here.
Spread the word.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I'm all for all of this stuff. I think everyone else here is for sure. I did read your proclamation. I have one small edit to the proclamation that you provided. It just says, "I understand the certification requires," and then it's signed "the members of," so it would be a "we understand." So maybe a couple of small edits to the proclamation. Clara, I'm not quite sure what the process is here for
Yeah.
moving forward with
Well,
this.
so typically with proclamations, those are something that the village president
Mm-hmm.
does. So that was something that I wanted to confirm as well, is that you're looking for a proclamation at a village board meeting versus like a letter.
We would take either a letter of support or a proclamation, something. I mean, Regis is in my native garden group. I could email him directly, but we're trying to do this officially through the process.
And there's, like, a lot of the proclamations are once we completed it versus a proclamation that we're doing it. So the letter of support is kind of that we're doing it, right? Sue?
Yes,
Right,
yeah.
so that may be easier.
Yeah. If the SEC wants to make a recommendation, I think it could be done, a letter of support and/or a proclamation, something like that, just so that.
Yeah, we did give you language for the registration proclamation, but a letter of support is absolutely fine. We would love to have that before we print up our brochures to go to the farmer's market June 6th. So it is kind of a time crunch. So whatever is most expeditious would be absolutely fine with us. We just want, I think it's powerful for us to say that the village supports us on this.
Understand.
And I think that you wrote in your letter that we would be number 3 in the state?
Correct.
If this went through?
Community.
Community.
There was a couple,
HOAs.
HOAs that have done it, but as far as community, it's Highland Park, Evanston, and then there are some other communities currently seeking it, but we are whipping
We're
through
moving.
these requirements very fast. Evanston took 4 years, Highland Park took 2 years. We're online for a year, I think.
I think less if
I
we-
think
Well,
less.
Well,
do
right,
too.
it's those 80 homes, that's where we have to, that's where it's going to be work. But that's the whole goal of it, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's why they design it that way. It's one thing for us to talk to those who are interested in it. It's for us to get out in the community and have others understand the importance and hopefully buy in.
And you'll be helping others register at the farmer's market,
Correct.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that 80 will be maybe 2 weekends, or 2 farmer's
Well,
markets. I'm not
my
even
big idea is to have a raffle. If you certify right here on your phone, you'll be entered in a raffle and we'll have native plants for you in the fall. So something to encourage people, and we could do that at every farmer's market. I think that might get some interest.
Oh, yeah.
And then we could get some more people to
Yeah.
certify.
So how can we help? Can we go and talk to our friends and say, go to the farmer's market or go to the website so we can promote, this committee? And a lot of friends can
I
do
think we
that.
can make a recommendation to give them a spot within the newsletter for Village
I think so.
from this committee in order for that to go forward. And
The demonstration garden has the application papers too. So that's another, if you're saying if they can't go to the farmer's market, they're at Artesian, go to the demonstration garden in the
At Artesian.
library is the forms that they can see,
Oh,
to just either do the barcode thingy or to take a piece of paper and home and do it.
But you're right, we have a trifold brochure we just submitted to National, we had to get it approved, because it has their logo on it, so they want to make sure that what we're saying is in line with their story. And it is, and it's been approved, and if we have a letter of support from the village, we would like to add that to the brochure, and if we get a logo done, we will add that, but,
I'll start your logo tomorrow.
we are not a marketing, we are not a marketing
I have the
group.
logo vision.
Oh.
That GPT is just
Oh,
taking too long.
no, don't tell me that.
So, but you're right, we do have an email address. I will share it with Clara. It's just Growing Native, Michelle did it like several years ago. We started as a book club, 5 years ago, and we have grown. So the big umbrella group is Growing Native.
Community?
We've changed so many, and then this subcommittee
This
is the Growing Native Habitat. So it's a little, we get it, we're not marketers, but I think we're starting to build the brand. I think people are getting it. We're up to 170 people on our email list. So 170 people in town, double it if they have a spouse, are getting our emails on a pretty regular basis. So,
We did have a long conversation about shortening it, but we wanted to stay true to our goal. And so we were afraid if we shorten it and take native out, people may not understand, or, so we have had that conversation.
Native habitat works, though. That's exactly what it is.
it is, it
Now,
is.
Claire, I've got a question for you. You know, I know space is limited on the Friday letter, but is there any way to take this idea, give them a little more space than just a line or two?
It's something we can talk about, but something we have been is we've been very receptive of
Yeah, you
different
put
groups
everything
that
in.
Yeah.
She's
reach
been
out. So
great.
we do really try to do that, but getting its own section, we would have to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
talk-
maybe
yeah.
when you have your logo done,
Yeah.
that we can put in. And the-
Either that or like growing name, but, you know, a name. And with an email link, we do have that email address that we monitor. That would work too.
Or maybe a photo when they're at the farmer's market. I'm
Or-
just thinking
Yeah,
about
and we can do that.
outreach.
And I know you guys have sent other things. If you want to put at the end your contact information, that would be fine, or a link to sign up to your newsletter or something. That would be
QR code or
something we
something.
can do.
Yeah, we don't have a website yet. Again, if we're not real heavy in this stuff and we're
But you
trying to
could link
decide.
it to the Growing Native website, or the I'm sorry, what is the organization's name?
Oh, the National Wildlife Federation.
National
Oh, that's
Wildlife Federation
Good.
page.
We could
You could
use
have
it.
it go straight there, and that way people could register just from scanning that.
I have a question about your brochure. In it, does it include like specific native species for Illinois? Like if somebody wanted to get started on that, or?
No, but as a matter of fact, we have many sources. In fact, we did create a document. We haven't distributed it yet. This would be a good thing. Again, we keep talking about website. We do have a document of native species in Lake County. I'm kind of anal about it has to be native where we live. So we've created one that was based on plants that are readily available at plant sales, et cetera. So yeah, I have that. I'm happy to share that with you, Clara.
Also, I think the National Wildlife Federation, if you go there, they help you with that too. And there are other homegrown national park and stuff, other ones. They're getting more and more savvy on helping people find local native plants, because that is a big issue. You don't want to go to the big box stores because they are not selling true native. They're selling cultivars, which are basically sterile or concrete to the bees. They don't recognize cultivars as healthy pollen.
And they have neonics.
Yeah.
I actually have a resource sheet that I give to all the people who sign up to be on the native email list. I'll send that to you, Clara. You can distribute that too, but it's got a lot of resources in it. So it's got a lot of links to different places, et cetera. But we are looking that maybe at some point we're going to have some sort of a repository. We know in another club that I know that you can get help at the Lake Forest Library to build a website that would just, you know,
Or even
link
just
to
like
it.
a preliminary Google Sites kind of thing. Those don't take very long and are
No.
pretty manageable.
yeah. So.
How about a connection at school? Is there a group of people you can reach out to at school? You have the environmental studies courses still?
I do not have that course, but I can find the teacher, and I think that same teacher runs a Enviro Club, and I think I might know the student president of that, so
Oh, that'd be
can
great.
reach out there too.
Is that the high school?
Yes.
Oh, that'd be great.
And we did go to the superintendent of the District 65 and had a nice talk with her. In fact, Ann and another one of our members signed up to be volunteers with Lake Forest Open Lands because they are currently doing education for the students in Lake Bluff. And we're collaborative. We don't, you know, it's fine. And so Adele's been going to their educations when they have the kids
And
out, and Ann, sorry. I just knew Ann, Adele had
It's
done
okay,
everything.
don't worry.
When they're taking the Lake Bluff kids out, somebody from our group is going with La Folla so that we can hopefully extend what they learn. So we're looking for all sorts of ways to get in with kids, because that is so important.
So you can connect.
Yes.
Sure, yeah. You guys are just doing such a great job. It's just fantastic. And you did get one more home certified
Thank you.
since last meeting, so
Yes, thank you, and thank you.
You're welcome.
All these homes are coming in. You don't have to be all native, but we do encourage going there, and so does National Wildlife Federation. But to your point, they talk about keystone species, and number one keystone species is the oak, just the most important. So if you have a big oak in your yard, you're doing a good job.
Just to clarify, a keystone species supports the most number of insects and pollinators. So the oak is like over 300 different species is supported by having an oak tree, as opposed to, many flowers and grasses are 20, so it's huge.
It is. They're very important. And the National Wildlife Federation, you can put in your zip code, and they will give you plants that are native to where you live, which again is really important, so.
And also, which ones, and how many pollinators they support. So as you're choosing your plants, if you are interested in the swallowtail,
Yeah,
you can find out which plants you need to plant to bring those to your home. And they do come if you plant them. It's amazing.
it's not just monarchs.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I think what I'm hearing from the committee is we would be able to draft a letter of support from the committee and then make a recommendation for a proclamation from the president in support of growing native habitat Lake Bluffs.
GNHLB, okay?
efforts.
So I'll have to see exactly how the letter of support would work, if that would be something that comes from the village president as well, or from, this group. But what we can make the motion that, the SEC, would like to support this group in their efforts, whether it be through proclamation, letters of support, and would make that recommendation to the village board.
Can I ask you, the more letters of support, does that mean the more points you have towards, like, for instance, if we
Yeah.
do one and the president does one and the senator does one, are those 10 points apiece for each of your?
We do get points for them. I don't know, there's a limit. I don't know what the limit is.
Okay.
I think, since we already have our points, this is fluff, which is, I think, really important. We will continue. They want to see progress, that we're not just getting the points and
Yeah.
stopping. So we can get points later on. We would love to get a proclamation at the end from the village when we get the certification and we're complete, kind of like the Bird City sort of thing, that dark sky you did with the birds, so.
It's really just advertising. So
Yeah.
that's where the more we can get, the more it can get out there, the more hopefully people we reach to understand, what we're
I
trying.
think if we had, the, village president talk about, in the SEC, acknowledges the work of this group, and with their support, I hereby make a proclamation. So kind of, put it out there that the SEC has also been, reviewed this and just,
Like we have to do everything else.
yeah,
Is that we make the recommendation and it goes to the village and then the village actually does,
yeah.
My question, Clara, is does it need to go to the village board? Or with the SEC recommendation, it goes to the village president?
So initially, the discussion was around proclamations. With proclamations, that's something that the village president typically does at village board meetings at the start of them.
Okay.
So I know you said you want the proclamation at the end, so that would be the process for that. If, depending on if you're looking for the letter, I'll have to get back to you on that one.
That may not have to go to the village board, but just be done by the village president? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I'm saying,
doesn't need-
I have to double check what
It doesn't
that
need
is,
board,
but
a proclamation doesn't need board approval.
A
It's just
proclamation
on-
doesn't,
On
correct.
the authority of the president.
Yep.
It's like an executive order, basically.
Okay.
I mean, I'm happy to send that proclamation to Regis, but
yeah, we
registration
can,
moment, you can.
I'll reach out to you guys shortly. I just
Okay.
want to
We just-
see exactly what the,
we would hope that whatever needs to be done at SEC is completed tonight so that it can move
Yeah.
to the next.
absolutely,
That's
yeah.
our ask.
Here.
Yeah.
Yes, and have we done that?
Do we need a motion or anything?
It would just be, I would say, if you want to make a motion, to suggest that the village board support this request moving forward, something along those lines. We can
So,
bring that with
Can I
what they
have
need.
a motion for a committee recommendation to endorse and create a proclamation that supports the efforts of the growing native habitat of Lake Bluff?
I would just edit that, say proclamation or letter of support, because
Yeah.
that gives Regis the flexibility.
To do both, one now
to
and
do
then
both.
one later.
Or, I mean, you can do a proclamation for registration, and that was the language we gave you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we don't need a proclamation for registration and a letter of
Right.
support.
No,
Either one
either
would
one.
Yeah,
work.
we
That's why I was
can
thinking a
and/or.
letter from this committee for registration,
Right.
and then a proclamation once approved
At the
by the
end.
president, yes.
And keeping it general and just saying that suggesting the village board support their efforts, I think we can do either way. I just don't want to get too caught in the semantics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So can I have a motion to have the village board and president support the efforts of growing native habitat of Lake Bluff, its mission and work?
So moved.
Second?
okay. Member Hance,
Yes.
member Manglecock,
Yes.
member Busio,
Yes.
and member Cole.
Yes.
All right, so that passes, and
you
we'll
very much.
Thank you.
be in touch on
Thank you.
that.
Thank you. This is amazing. I mean, you're energizing us.
Moving on, general business, draft lighting ordinance discussion.
Yes, so with
Chair Renner
this
not
one,
being here,
yeah.
him being the most informed, I would like to make a motion to push this to the next meeting.
Okay,
Second?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that motion passes. All right. So, village staff report. The only thing that I really have is that our comp plan is still moving forward. We will likely be bringing the comp plan for final approval at our next village board meeting, so.
Can you explain that? I'm sorry. What is the plan?
The comprehensive land use plan.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've talked about it a little bit before, but it's basically a document that helps kind of envision what our community should be working towards for the next 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it is focused on land use, where some other village plans are
Oh,
focused
yeah, I
on
remember that.
other
Okay.
things. Yeah, we've been doing this for about 2 years now, so we're wrapping up that.
Does this include the tree
process.
survey? Or is that?
No, that's separate.
Separate?
Yeah, yeah. But there is an environmental section within it that has some goals that have been pulled together by a lot of community
Is
engagement.
that available?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's available, lakebluffplan.org.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. You can see the documents leading up to it and the final draft plan on there.
Org. Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Anything else for the members' report? Or, sorry, village staff report?
Nothing else for village staff report.
Moving on to members' report. Anyone have anything they want to bring up?
And I would just tell you that wildlife certification, you get a nice plaque.
Oh, that's
right?
cool.
And you can order an upgraded plaque if you want one that's, looks like it's maybe a little more industrial. But just putting that plaque out there along, the neighbor's path, people walking by, we've had a few people say, oh, what's that about? And it sparks interest just with that.
That's cool.
That's great.
To get people to do something.
And then for the getting the school involved, so I just send an email, talk in person, is that what we want to do moving
I
forward?
think maybe Clara can provide you with some links that they'll be sharing.
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
then
that's
you
the
can
way to go
pass
with
those
that.
links along.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I think
Okay.
it'll be
Good
just
thought.
helping to get in touch with the right people that may have some student volunteers or things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did we agree, I just want to backtrack a little bit. Did we agree that this committee will draft a letter of support and then Regis is going to do a proclamation?
I need to check with Drew and with Regis to see exactly what that all looks like, because it kind of changed from the initial question of the proclamation, so I wasn't able to confirm with that beforehand.
If we do need to draft one, I'm happy to draft one. It should be pretty easy for me, so.
I was thinking that we would like them to support. We recommend, like we always do, but then they would actually write the letter. It just feels like it has more bang for the buck, because we're an ad hoc committee.
You mean the committee? Yes.
Yes, so.
But like, what I was trying to find out, the more government pieces of paper that reference them from different bodies, do they get more points for that? Like, for instance, if they get 5 points for one letter from us, are they gonna get another 5 from Regis when he makes the proclamation? That's why I was saying, let's have a letter from us and then something from Regis, so that they have more
But I
sort of
think-
supporting
I think,
documents.
Tell us
Yeah,
what to do and we'll do it.
We'll
Yeah.
follow up with them and see what they
Well, I
need.
think my
And
understanding and looking at the details is there's categories.
Yes.
And they already fulfill the category of support. This is more, like they said, advertising.
yeah, above and beyond.
Above and beyond.
Yeah.
So I think it's,
I think it's also a little bit of bragging rights with
Yeah.
anyone else in the state of we
Exactly.
have more points than you do type of
Well, to
thing,
be
which
number
I could
3
see
in the
Sue.
state, I
like,
mean, that's
yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah. And I bet she wants more points than Evanston and Highland Park. Knowing
And
Sue.
in a shorter
It's
amount of
competitive.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing how fast they're moving.
Yeah. Definitely.
the farmer's
She was
market.
very-
Really, really good.
It's amazing how fast they're changing their name as well. I think they changed it a couple of times. But one thing I wanted to mention is I was down at the beach on Monday helping the community church deliver their chairs for their Sunday service. And it looks awesome down at South Beach. It officially opens on Saturday, I believe. And it looks really nice, and I think it's going to be a great summer down there. The parking lot area is now almost like a promenade type of thing with
That's
spaces
beautiful.
spaces for gardens and trees. They planted a bunch of trees down there,
You
and
still go down the big hill?
they repaved the big hill down there, so it's all
I saw that.
nice, which is nice because there was that guy who did the Dukes of Hazzard off of Center Avenue.
Oh, jeez.
Did you guys hear
I
about
heard
that?
about that.
Yeah.
No.
Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah.
There was a
Police are chasing.
There was a drunk driver trying to evade the police who basically went 60 miles an hour off of the Center Avenue, like took Center Avenue
Oh, no.
all the way to the beach and did a Dukes of Hazzard, then landed right on the beach road and smashed his car up, but he was able to walk away.
Ooh.
He is lucky.
Luckily not run away, but
Yeah.
yeah. Wild. Anyway, so the beach looks great.
Great.
Any other reports? High school stuff? No? Okay. Chairs report? Anything from Brian?
No, he's out of town right now.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Wow, what a great meeting.
We did it
You run such a good
inside and out.